It's so different from buying a house or buying a car.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody buys a house, but most people buy a car. And you have limited amenities, air conditioning or not air conditioning, sport mode or not sport mode. When you're buying an RV, it's a complete unknown unless you've started when you were 3 weeks old.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Welcome back to the RV Queens podcast, friends, where we dive into the incredible world of women living life and making money on the road. Today, I have a very special guest joining us, Kim Graham from Choose Your First RV. She's not just a full-time RVer, but she's also the community manager of RV Queen Circles community. Woohoo! And she's an educator, helping families make the best decision when it comes to choosing their perfect RV. In this episode, we chat about everything from Kim's very unique journey that began with camping as a baby in Canada, all the way to living full-time in her RV today. Plus, she drops some valuable tips on choosing the right RV and shares how she is building her own educational brand that both serves others and lights her up. Whether you're just starting your RV journey or you're a seasoned traveler, this episode is packed with insights that you don't want to miss. So grab your coffee and let's roll. Real quick before we dive in, hey RV Queen, want to make holiday shopping a breeze this year and support your community? Then you need to check out the RV Queens 2024 Holiday Gift Guide, curated by RV women for RV women. Whether you're looking for intentional gifts that speak to the heart, want to support your fellow travelers, or score some sweet discounts along the way, we've got you covered. Head over to rvqueenspodcast.com/gift guide to download the guide today. This holiday season, let's choose community over consumerism. Kim Graham, welcome to the RV Queens podcast. Where in the world are you this week?
Well, at the moment, we are enjoying the beaches of Hilton Head, but we slowly start to make our way down to Florida for the winter, just where we were before all the hurricanes started.
Are the RV places you were going to be still intact, I hope, in Florida? Has everything stayed all right?
Well, we kind of move around and some of them are not as cleaned up as they would like, but we'll find some place to stay.
As long as the power's working and the water and the sewer are fine, then
yeah, doesn't matter. There's no snow, so we're happy about that.
I know. I'm in Utah right now, and I just got a winter storm warning, but it's currently 90 degrees. I'm like, okay, guess we'll navigate that if it actually happens. That's crazy. I got to be honest about something because it feels funny to be interviewing you for the podcast because behind the scenes, we work together. You've been the community manager of the RV Queen Circles for a few months for our listeners who don't know. And I have totally enjoyed having a coworker to collaborate with. That's how it feels to me. And it's been a ton of fun. So thank you again for being on Team RV Queens behind the scenes.
No problem. And I'm so glad that you asked me to be part of the team because when we met last year, our first time meeting was at the RV Content Creators. And I was like, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. And it was like all these things were just flowing out of my brain of what I wanted to do business-wise. And you were like, I think you need to join RV Queen, the Circles community. And I was like, well, all right. I love the mission. I love helping other women in their business and just creating community. So
good. Yeah, I'm so glad I met you. That's been almost a year ago. I can't believe it. And also, I think the reason I said that probably is because there are so many women that are multi-passionate, have a lot of pans in the fire, have a lot of things going on. What I've seen is like through the course of talking it out and collaborating and sharing ideas and all this stuff, usually the ones that have 100 ideas they want to execute kind of like are getting the real-time feedback and other ideas from other women making money on the road. And they kind of like end up narrowing down what they want to do and then being like all in on that. We'll talk in a little bit about like the niche and the focus that you have found too over the past few months, which I'm excited to get into that. But before we do, I want to get into your story because You have a really unique history with camping. It started way back when you were a 3-week-old baby in Canada. So just tell us a bit about your history with camping and how long you lived in Canada and, all that.
Well, I am Canadian by birth. So, Canadian down to the maple syrup in my blood. And we moved to the States just over 20 years ago for my husband's job. Our residents of New Hampshire, and it's a great place to live, a great place to raise kids. So we stayed there. I don't remember my first camping trip, but my dad was and still is a very avid bluegrass musician. And so he was in several bands when we were growing up. And so our summers were spent camping at different bluegrass festivals. And there were 5 kids, so 7 of us, in a pop-up camper, if you can believe it.
Oh my gosh.
But it was just for weekends, maybe like a long weekend. It definitely was not full-time. So fun and a unique experience that not everybody was experiencing, but those who were in it, they were in it. And it was like a little community, which is still how it is today, whether you're full-time camping or part-time camping. Funny story, I remember my mom being so frustrated one time after we got back from camping. And I was like, why is she in such a bad mood? Like, this was so great. It was such a great camping experience. Well, she was packing for everybody, packing all the food. She was still, cooking and doing the dishes and looking after the kids. And then when we got home, it was the same process. And I was like, yeah, I remember now. I realize why you were like that. It's come a long way with, RV models and such to make your life easier. But, 5 kids going for a weekend, that was a lot.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. And what an education for you too, just growing up, being around RVs and other campers your whole life. I'm curious, about the lead up for your nuclear family. Like, you lived in New Hampshire, you've been residents there for a couple decades now. What was that lead up to becoming full-time RVers?
Like a lot of people who are on the road now, COVID was kind of the catapult saying, let's try something different. We just need to get out. And it did start with that. We had talked about it for a while, and that was kind of the trigger, the light switch moment. But I have a bad habit of changing houses every few years anyway. So we didn't stay in one place for too long, like 4 years, 5 years. And then I was like, let's move. So my husband was kind of used to how my brain operated. And we're in this rig 4 years now. And it's funny because a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I wonder if we should get a new rig. And no, it's the 4-year itch, but we're not. We're in this one for a while because it suits our needs.
Quick sidebar. I've actually heard that with marriages. There's like every 4 years, like there needs to be some kind of like fresh something that happens to like keep it interesting. So for example, if a couple doesn't have kids, somewhere within the first year of their marriage, like the rate of separation like goes up a lot in that 4th year. Anyways, whatever. I don't know what that means with astrology and us as humans, but interesting factoid.
I had heard before that people kind of change every 4 to 7 years. So maybe that's part of it.
Who knows? We'll put a pin in that. Yeah. Let's do some research and maybe I'll come back with a podcast episode. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the brand that you're building with Choose Your First RV. I've seen a lot of full-time travelers when they're starting out, deciding to take content more seriously and trying to figure out what kind of brand they want to create online. They by default, just make it about travel destinations and travel tips and stuff like that. Because it's just kind of easy. Like, we're living this life. Let's just show what we do and where we are. But you decided to position yourself more as an educator who shows people how to choose an RV. Why did you decide to take that approach of creating a more educational brand from the start?
I think because I'm a natural teacher, natural educator. Like, I love teaching people, I share my story. I share how-tos. I share, hey, have you thought about this? Or thought I can be an overshare when that happens. But also I know the struggle that we went through when we were choosing our rig for full-time use. And I really don't want anyone else to kind of go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can choose something and it might not work in this situation or it might not work in that situation. But unless you're buying, a smaller rig, it's a really big purchase. And families want to be able to feel good and confident about the choice that they've made and not worry, is this going to work, or are we going to have enough space, or can we take this to a certain park, or how long are we going to be able to keep this rig?
So how long did it take you to pick your guys' first RV that you were going to live full-time in?
We did a lot of research, and I think that research is one of the key things that families need to do. However, you could be very overwhelmed after you do research for a long time because there's so many makes and models. You wonder, do I need this layout? Do I need that layout? How much cargo space do I need? Can I pull this, with my current vehicle, or do I tow behind? We researched a lot, but I also knew how we were going to travel. I knew that we needed a space for Jim to work. We had one daughter at home and our son was home occasionally at the time. So I knew that we needed bedroom that they could close their space, close off from the rest of us and give them privacy. So it definitely was a couple of months of writing down every model that I thought we could use and then taking those models and comparing them to another model and then seeing what the price was and seeing the availability. It took a long time. And always in the back of my mind was, is this the right one?
Mm-hmm.
Is this what we should be choosing? Hopefully through the digital products that I have, then, I can help more people and just reassure them that you're probably making the right decision if you look at these few things.
I got to ask you to drop some RV knowledge on us. So what are your top 3 to 5 tips for choosing an RV?
At the very bare minimum, I think families should decide where they're going to go, how they're going to get there, and how long they're going to stay. After you've decided that, you can start to look at models that will fit that lifestyle. If you only plan on going to state parks within your state and for the weekends, you don't need a 45-foot toy hauler. A big thing with all the bells and whistles, if it's just for weekends. Now you can, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's one thing that I teach is that most rigs are interchangeable with your lifestyle. But state parks, you're going to be limited with the size if you get a 42 or a 45-foot RV. A lot of them are meant for full-time travel with tons of storage and upgraded insulation, which you don't need if you're just going to be camping several weekends over the summer. You just need something where the kids can crash. You've got a good bathroom and shower. You've got enough refrigerator space and enough eating space, and you're good to go. Where you want to go, so near or far, how you want to get there, luxury or the basics, and how long you're going to travel for.
Be very mindful. What are we going to do here? And where are we going? And how long are we going to be in it? Makes sense.
Yeah.
Whenever we were researching and trying to figure out what RV to buy, some of those questions I didn't even have answers to. For example, where do you want to stay? I don't know. But what's available?
Right.
Sure, I'll stay at a state park. I had no idea what that meant. So that's one thing I think, especially for people that aren't familiar with RVing and are interested in this lifestyle, want to dip their toe in. There's a way you can rent one or borrow one or get a little familiar with the type of places that are out there for you to park and the price points because there's some places that are $200 a night, and then there's some places that are free. And then there's a whole range in there. So I'll just throw in my 2 cents, even though no one asked for it.
No, you're right. Doing research also includes, checking out different RV content creators online on YouTube, reading some blogs on where to go and all that stuff. Yeah. The thing is that it's so different from buying a house or buying a car. Mm-hmm. Not everybody buys a house, but most people buy a car, and you have limited amenities, let's say, or choices when you buy a car, air conditioning or not air conditioning, sport mode or not sport mode. And if you've never bought a car, 99% of the people are going to have driven a car or have at least experienced a car. So the learning curve for buying a car is pretty basic. When you're buying an RV, it's a complete unknown unless you've started when you were 3 weeks old.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's crazy. That's amazing. Okay. I know that you are one of those people who is constantly absorbing information, listening to podcasts, investing in courses, stuff like that. And I know you think deeply about your work and your approach to the brand that you're creating. So because our audience is full of women who are making money on the road, I want to circle back to this topic of how you chose your niche and your brand positioning so that the listeners can think about this for themselves and the business that they're running. So when you were thinking of starting your Choose Your First RV brand, how did you narrow it down to be so specific from the start?
So you're right. I've kind of always been like a marketing junkie and just consuming as much as I could. And courses and memberships always intrigued me as something that I could do. Definitely not as a passive income, because once you're in it, it's not passive at all, but something that I could do on the road or location independent as a nomad. So I was trying to figure out what I could do that would allow me to pursue those things that I like. So creating digital products was one thing. Working with you on a membership is something else. Again, it comes down to education, knowing that I like to teach people. I think I'm good at it. So what I could suggest to other women is really figure out what your passions are, what you're good at, and then see what's out there, what's available, and where you can fill in the blanks with something that is not available. Or if it's a saturated market, what can you bring to the table? There's other people who are doing what I'm doing. They're just doing it a little bit differently, and it's not me. So some people will like another person and some people will like what I'm doing. So that's the beauty of the internet, is that if you don't like one person, you can just, find somebody else.
If maple syrup isn't your flavor, go find the knockoff, the watered down American version.
That's right,
Yeah. Oofta. Oh, wait, that's not, is that Canadian? I don't think that's Canadian.
I don't think
so. That's like Norwegian. It's my mom. She's not from Canada. Okay. So back to that brand, like finding your niche. I love what you said about, you narrowed down your brand to be one that it's serving other people in a way that either no one else is yet or very few people are. I call that finding like the white space. You're kind of like, this person is over here saying this. This person is over here doing this. No one's doing exactly this. I could do that. But it also lights you up, right? And it's something that you're excited to create content about and write about and all that kind of thing. So are there thought leaders that you follow or a course you took or other resources that you can share for women that are just starting to think about these things?
So definitely Amy Porterfield. I also listen to Jennifer Allwood. Have you heard of her before?
She's all about like creative. Is she still doing like focusing on like creative entrepreneurs, basically?
Yeah.
Building out your brand online.
Yeah. And she's very much into the 7 streams of income. Like the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So she has, courses. She's got a couple of Airbnbs. So I love her. I also listen to Entrepreneurs on Fire with JLD. Oh, you and I love Business Made Simple with Donald Miller.
Oh, Don.
I will say that there's one podcaster that I listen to that would be really good for women who are just starting on their entrepreneurial path is Side Hustle Pro. I've listened to her from the beginning when she was working at a normal 9-to-5, and she started her podcast, and now she's, on her own. I think she has a couple of people that work for her. So that's a really good one.
Awesome. I will put links to all those in the show notes, by the way, for anyone to just quickly tap on those. Thank you for all those resources. I got to look up some of those because I haven't heard of all of them. Okay. Wow. This has been so helpful and inspiring. Kim, you're a gem. I hope you know that I think that. Okay. So before I ask my last couple questions here, go ahead and share with everyone where they can connect with you online, and then we'll get into wrapping this up.
The best place to go is my website, chooseyourfirstrv.com. There you can get all the socials. I will be starting some blog posts soon, but then there's also some free resources and some paid resources that can take you from different stages of your choosing your first RV journey.
Okay, so for this episode, I want to end with, I'm just calling it like a one-on-one round where we each share one book and one tool that we're into these days. So to start,
okay,
go ahead and share a book, and it can be for fun, for business, whatever, something that you're reading right now.
Okay, so I just finished a book. It wasn't a memoir, but it was a book of her life, Barbara Corcoran, who is probably famously known on Shark Tank.
That sounds good.
And the book is called If You Don't Have Big Boobs, Wear Ribbons in Your Hair.
I need to read that.
It is teachings from her mother, but how she relates it, or how she related it to her business life when she was the real estate mogul.
This is going to sound weird, but I found this kid's cookbook. Honestly, my kids found it at the library. And it's like the most decadent kids' desserts that I've ever seen. And I've been having a ton of fun making these. For example, she calls them Rocky Road bars, but I kind of modified it because I didn't want to put nuts in there. So it's like Cocoa Krispies. It's basically Rice Krispies, except you use Cocoa Krispies and add peanut butter instead of just marshmallow and butter. And then before you smush it into the pan, you line the pan with mini marshmallows and chocolate chips. It's like, duh, why haven't we been eating Rice Krispies like this all the time? It's like every recipe is like that. I'm like, duh, why didn't I think of this? Freaking awesome. And I also like to challenge myself to upgrade the ingredients a little bit because we're gluten-free by preference and, cut down on the sugar and whatever. But
yeah,
I'm having a ton of fun on the side making these desserts. So that's my book. All right. The next thing I want you to share is a tool that is helping you in your life these days. And it can be a digital tool, an app, some kind of resource, or it can be freaking kitchen tool or something around the RV.
Okay, so along the same line as food, I am a huge Jamie Oliver fan. Do you know Jamie Oliver?
Yes, I do. Yes.
I grew up with him when he was the Naked Chef.
Yes.
We go back a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been watching his 30-minute meals. And one thing that he does to get ready, if he's boiling pasta, he starts it first in a teapot and boils it to save time. So it's not boiling in a pot. And then the other thing, I'm giving you a twofer, as they say in Canada. Instead of parchment paper or nonstick spray, if you put olive oil on your baking sheet and then some flour, kind of like you would do maybe for a cake with butter and flour, it makes it nonstick and it works.
Oh my gosh.
Jamie Oliver for the win.
Quick story about Jamie Oliver. Back in the day.
Our sidebars.
Yeah, it's fine. This is what keeps the RV Queens podcast interesting and at the top of the charts. When I was 18, my parents let me fly to London by myself to visit my sister who was doing a study abroad program over there. I think I was only there with her for maybe a week, but during that time period, it was over the summer and I had my birthday that week and we went to Jamie Oliver's restaurant in London. I still talk about that meal to this day because I don't know what he did to those tomatoes. It was like this tomato-based pasta something meal. And it was like, I have never tasted tomatoes this good. Oh, freaking amazing. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. So yes, I'm familiar with Jamie Oliver.
That's funny.
Love it. Okay, so the tool I'm going to share, I'm just going to stay on this food theme. Drew and I, my husband and I, have become very bougie with our coffees in the morning. And it's gotten
Nothing
a
wrong
little
with
bit,
that.
it's gotten a little bit ridiculous, but we do French press. Okay, for starters. We also use this powder. It's like a cacao creamer thing from a brand called Forsigmatic, which has like some kind of adaptogens that are supposed to help your brain and stuff like that. And so you put the powder stuff in the bottom of your cup before you pour the coffee in it. And I'm not that much of like a kitchen gadget person. So we had never owned one of those like coffee frother thingies. Those are amazing. So I use that thing on everything now. Even if it's a glass of wine, I will like decant my wine. It's like instant breathing. So I'm all about that thing right now. And it only takes up like a tiny little space in our camper kitchen, and it has a little holder. So, and it was like $8 on Amazon. Not a big deal, but it's currently changing my life. So, but you're kind of a foodie, so you probably already have one of those, don't you?
I do, but only because my daughter bought it for her coffees of some sort.
Gotcha. Yeah. So do you use it?
I use it if I'm making hot chocolate.
Okay.
Homemade hot chocolate.
Next level. Haven't attempted that one yet. I'll have to get your recipe.
I'm never anywhere cold, so I never need hot chocolate. Unfortunately.
But you never know.
Or fortunately.
Dude, the weather these days.
I know.
Oh, man. Okay, Kim, this was a ton of fun. Thank you for inspiring us, inspiring the listeners, for being on the show today, for being on my team behind the scenes. I really enjoyed this conversation and getting to know you even more.
Thank you. Thank you. It was fun.
Alrighty. I will see you on the road. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode and for being part of the RV Queens community. Remember to hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And guess what? You can have conversations like I had on this episode with your fellow RV women who are living intentionally and making money on the road. Head to rvqueenspodcast.com/community to join RV Queen Circles today. It's a totally unique online space with a shared prosperity model that's all about community over competition. I'd love to have you be a part. All right, guys, I'll see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road. I will like decant my wine. It's like